gotta tell you guys, that ramen I had last night, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but that was some deluxe gourmet ramen. Check out the bones. We're coming up to this water hole. We got bones all around here. How's it going, guys? Casey here with the Coyote Works channel, heading out on another weekend adventure, and this time I'm in Grandpa's truck, the Overlander. We're just heading out for kind of a nice, relaxing overnight truck camping trip. We're gonna go up over this mountain range called the Mallory Mountains, and if you ever get out to Central Oregon, the Mallory Mountains are a nice little spot to get up into some forest, some nice camping. There's a little reservoir up there called Antelope Reservoir. Ultimately, I want to get into an area where there's some fossil formations to camp in. But along the way, we might stop and try to locate the site of an old civilian conservation corps camp that was up in the Mallories. So we're going to sleep in the back of the truck inside the canopy again on this trip. We've got kind of a cool dinner. We're going to do a gourmet ramen dish, another real easy camp meal that's just loaded with carbs and protein and good high energy food for when you're out kicking around in the mountains. It's kind of cool. We're climbing up out of the Crooked River Valley bottom, and we're heading up into right now we're up into the foothills of the Mallories, and so we're getting up into more and more juniper trees, and then pretty soon we'll start seeing a few pine trees. Oh yeah, we're getting into a little bit more snow here. Alright, we made it up to about the highest point we're going to come to crossing the Mallories, and I'm at a pretty cool spot here that has a nice view, and there's a little bit of a scab flat out here. So number one, I'm going to grab a little bit of a snack. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm just going to eat something light to kind of tide me over till dinner. But then I think we're going to take a quick little walk around this scab flat here, because there's not a lot of vegetation on it. We might be able to find some signs of if there was any history here. This would have been a natural place for people to travel back and forth here, kind of a low pass. Yeah, this is a pretty incredible spot right here. I've got just snacking on some little sweet spicy peppers stuffed with cheese. So we're just going to take a really quick little walk around, because I don't know if there was any history here or not, but the only way to know, and it seems like a likely spot, is just to get out and take a peek. So it'd be a pretty likely spot for people to have stopped and camped, rested after pulling the grade, climbing the grade up here, let their horses rest. That's a decently old 7-Up bottle, nice and thick. Well, I didn't find anything real old in that 5-minute walk or so there, so actually it was maybe more like 10. So we're going to jump back in the truck and continue on towards our destination, and hopefully we'll find something a little bit more exciting at the next stop we make. Alright, we're going to cruise on in here. We're actually on the little secondary road that'll take us into this spot where I wanted to kind of look around and see if I could see any sign of that old CCC camp. Alright, let's see what we can find here. So the thing that we're going to look for is really any kind of metal in the ground. Yeah, here's a slope with some bare ground on it. So this would be a good place where cans or anything man-made would stand out here. There's an old post. It's been burned. So that's something. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when this Civilian Conservation Corps camp was occupied, it was right around 1930-ish, I believe. That being the case, a lot of trees have grown up, a lot of debris, a lot of this pine needle duff has been deposited on the ground. Look at that old water jug that they rigged up with a handle, probably to haul water back and forth from camp. Okay, so this is the first sign that we could actually be in the ballpark of some kind of a cool historic camp. Man, this is actually really cool. It's a hella thick old bottle. This is a classic example of the stuff that they kind of MacGyvered up to get through life out in these really remote areas like this, where they couldn't just run to town every time they needed something, so they had to kind of improvise and make it out of whatever materials they had at hand. See, that's the problem. I find one more thing like that, and then now I just want to comb this area even more. But all right, that's a sanitary can, which again could be 1920s. Those sanitary cans started getting really prevalent in the 1920s. So, all right, we made it back to the little logging road that'll lead us back to the truck, and then we'll jump in the truck, hit the trail, and we've got about 15 miles or so. We're going to drop down off the backside of the Mallory Mountains, get back down into the kind of the desert country, and then we'll head to our next location. Well, we drop back down into the desert lands. We're down into Big Sagebrush Valley, and we're crossing an Alkali Flat here. Actually, you guys may recognize this. I started out across this flat in a video earlier this year, and it was a little bit too sketchy. It was a little bit soft underneath, so I decided not to go. And I told you guys, as soon as it dried out enough, I wanted to get back out here and explore this country. So there's some pretty cool looking formations back up in here that I think will probably be fossil bearing formation. So I'm excited to get to do some hiking around, some kicking around up in here, and see what kind of interesting minerals and stuff we find. Alright, so we're getting up into that next area that I wanted to explore a little bit, and this was a pretty good looking little draw right here. So I thought we would just take maybe about 20 minutes or so and do a little walk down this draw, and then we'll want to get back in the truck and work our way back up towards where we're probably going to camp. This is interesting right here. What I just came across is what's called a lithic scatter, and basically what it is it's a collection of flakes. Some are obsidian, some are agate, and they're in this general little area here. And what they are is they're actually flakes that one of the natives in this area, for whatever reason, sat right here and worked and shaped tools. Maybe it could be because they killed a big game animal right here and they were processing, skinning, boning, butchering in essence the animal, and as they were doing that, they were sharpening their stone tools. It could just be because this was a place where they sat and watched out over this valley looking for game. And while they sat here watching over the valley, they worked on making tools or sharpening tools. Now we're cooking here. We're getting out into some areas where there's no tracks. This is a really faint Jeep trail here, so I like it. We're going to get back up into the areas behind the reach of where most people get to. Oh, look at this. All right, I'll have to show you guys this. Now I know why the natives were in this area. In addition to hunting, there's a whole bunch of camas right here. Let me show you guys this camas really quick. Yeah, I don't know how well the camera will see that from here, but I'll give you guys a closer look. So this is camas, and the natives out here harvested this camas, and the bulb of it is really starchy and relatively high in calories. Now there's a couple of different varieties of camas. Only one variety is edible, and that's what this variety is right here. Although it's difficult to tell when it's not flowering, but in this case I know just because of the area, and it's the only variety that grows in here. So camas was a really big part of the natives' existence out in this area, and right here there's some nice patches of them on these kind of rocky hillsides. All right, I found home for the night. This, I actually really like this spot. It's a little bit exposed, but I've got a little bit of shelter from the wind, from the terrain around me. The wind's blowing that way, so I'll be able to have a little fire, and the wind will carry the smoke away from me and away from my camp and everything, away from where I'm going to be sleeping inside the soft topper. I got a decent little view out here. I'll have the morning sun coming up behind me back there, so I think it'll actually be a nice little spot. So let's get camp set up. All right, get ready for this. One piece of gear I don't have in this truck yet that I need to get in here is a little whisk broom. This is a pretty neat spot right here. God, that scenery back up here. I just have these big rims. I'm right at the base of this big escarpment going up there. What an awesome little spot. I love this little table. It just unfolds, and then I can extend the legs. This is probably one of my top 10 most used pieces of gear. This is the Ready Light from Free Spirit Recreation. Since every single video I use it, several people always ask me what this light is. So that's it. It's the Ready Light. I'm going to go ahead and set it up now because it is solar rechargeable, and I'll go ahead and toss my solar panel out so it can be charging up a little bit. Get the last hour or two of sunlight. Get that kind of lined up with the sun and turn it on. I'm going to set up a little washing station right here with my roto packs. So basically what I do is I lay this on its side, and as long as this spout is higher than the level of the water, I don't have to worry about it. And then if I want to wash, I just turn that. Now I can rinse, turn it back, and that way I can have a washing station set up here. So I told you guys I'd show you my bedroll. So this is it. Basically, this is just the Teton XL cot pad. And it's got I think a 2 3/4 inch thick mattress in it, and it has this cover that zips on and off it. So what I did is I put a high density foam layer underneath the softer 2 3/4 inch mattress that comes in it. So I just modified it a little bit. I threw a tie down strap on here, and inside this bedroll I have my pillow and my sleeping bags. So the nice thing about this is my bed's all together in one little bundle, so all I have to do is toss it in the back of the truck and unroll it. All right, and basically at this point my bed's set up. So I've got my sleeping bag, my cot pad, and then one other thing I do is I just have this high density foam pad that I lay out next to me, and that does two things. One, it covers up the dusty bed of the truck, and two, it gives me a little padding to maneuver around on and stuff with my knees. Now for a pillow, I just use this Climate pillow, and then it goes down inside the cot pad, and my sleeping bag goes over the top of it, so it ends up being nice and comfortable. That is perfect. All right, so that's my bed all set up. I did throw my buddy heater and an extra thing of propane in there. It's probably not going to get cold enough tonight where I'll need it, but I also threw in an extra blanket, my clothes bag, water in my clothes bag, basically everything I need to be comfortable for the night. There's almost zero chance I'm going to need my buddy heater or that extra blanket. But one thing is, once you're all buttoned up and comfortable inside your truck camper or your rooftop tent or even your tent, it's nice to have everything you possibly need in there. The worst is when you don't have something and you have to crawl all the way back out of your sleeping bag, get all the way out, and then go retrieve whatever it is that you need. I'm going to go ahead and set up my kitchen. Basically, I'm going to use these 1 pound propane bottles on my stove. There we go, stove set up. All right, well, my camp's all set up, and I'm just taking a few minutes to lounge and enjoy this beautiful time of day. The sun's just starting to set. It's just starting to hit that golden hour where the hills are just looking their absolute most beautiful of the day. And I'm sitting in this spot that's just steeped with history. I can tell the Native Americans were gathering camas and hunting. There's a series of springs back up here on the hillside, and all around those springs are lithic scatters and flakes and all different kinds of rock, obsidian and agate and jasper, and so there's a lot of really cool rocks in here and everything. And then there's also some really old stumps. So some of the homesteaders or potentially even kind of pioneer era people were up in these foothills too. So we'll have some exploring to do tomorrow and kind of trying to unravel the mystery of what was going on here. For dinner tonight, we're going to make some gourmet ramen. So I've got the base ingredients, some top ramen. We've got some garlic chili sauce, some cilantro, some mushrooms, some bok choy, some onions, and some pulled chicken. A really delicious but simple camp meal that's got everything you need to fuel your adventures. And man, I'm getting hungry, so I can't wait. All right, guys, well, I can't resist. I've got to go for a little walk, and I just can't pass this up. Like, this is the most incredible time of day out in this country. Oh, and look at this right here too, not far from my camp. Here's one of those old stumps I was telling you guys about. Check that thing out. See, you can see it was cut with an axe or a saw. It didn't fall down naturally. And that's an old one. We're going to walk up towards these springs up there, and they didn't look like there was any water in them when I went by them earlier, but there is some Great Basin bunch grass which grows in areas where there's water a little closer to the surface, and there were some pretty good lithic scatters around there. So we'll see if we can't find maybe some little relics or artifacts. Of course, we won't take anything with us. We're out here on public land, so anything we find here we'll leave here for the next person to find and enjoy too. Here's a nice little game trail. well worn in, going up to the Waterhole. Boy, look at that old snag right there. Yep, so this is the reason that the natives were here exploiting this site, is probably this game trail that we're walking right now, that game are going back and forth to these springs when there's water in them now, is the same one they've been using for hundreds and hundreds of years. Oh, look at that. There's a clump of camas right there. So between the hunting and digging the camas bulbs, there were some good resources in here for them to exploit. Nice chunk of agate right there. Beautiful. Check this out. Here's another one of those old stumps. Yeah, and there's all kinds of these little lithic flakes around here. Now this stump was very clearly cut with an axe. So this thing is really old. This stump right here, easily cut well over 100 years ago. This desert country preserves things so well. Check out the bones. We're coming up to this Waterhole. We got bones all around here. Look like cow bones here, but back there a little ways I saw some deer bones. Yeah, look at this. There's bones scattered all over here. I wonder if this is bad water. It could be pretty alkali filled, this water in here. So it could be the animals get hard up for water and then they come drink it. Oh, look at this. Yeah, so this is a mud pot. This is a mineral spring that's coming right up out of the ground here. See how it's making this dome-shaped formation right there? I bet this is a toxic water hole. Check this out. Bones all over it. And bones all around it. Interesting. See this tall bunch grass here is this is really typical of the Great Basin, and it only grows where there's a decent amount of moisture in the soil. Boy, there's more bones up there. So there's another possibility for those bones, and that is that there's a cougar that hunts this really regularly. One thing that makes me want to rule out the idea that it might be a mountain lion killing these animals in here is that usually the mountain lions, they won't go after a full-sized cow. And some of these bones are definitely a mature cow. Now there's also a lot of deer bones in here. Yeah, very interesting. Ah, here's another flake. Another nice agate one. Very cool. Oh yeah, check this out. So here's another one of those springs. This is a dry one, but look at, I don't know if this is salt or alkali or what, but there's definitely a lot of mineralization in here. And this might be what's making this water bad and killing all the animals around here that drink it. I would taste these crystals, except yeah, it doesn't really have an odor. I would taste it, except the prevalence of dead animal bones around suggests that it may not be too healthy. Yeah, coyote poo. Nice. Looks like it was flaked off of something. All right, well, we're losing light pretty fast, so I'm going to start kind of hoofing it to get back over to my camp. It's hard for me to resist. Right in here I just found a couple of cool little jasper flakes. I don't know if the camera's picking them up, but some nice kind of orange color ones, very cool. Another agate. Almost back to camp, and now I am 120% starving, so we have got to get some dinner going. So I'm not doing too much for a fire reflective wall. I don't need a lot. I'm not going to do a bunch of a fire or anything. I definitely don't need it for warmth. So I don't need much of a fire reflective wall, just something to kind of contain it in here a little bit. All right, we about to get our dinner on, but first, I'm gonna rinse up our hands a little bit. So I think I've got this set up here where you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm keeping this really, really simple. This is a super easy meal to make. Basically, I've got about 1.5 cups of water in my Pathfinder pot, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to boil that water, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the seasoning packet in here, and then I'll add about a teaspoonful of this garlic chili sauce and let that come to a boil, and then I'll start adding my other ingredients. And one thing about this stove is it cranks, so this water should be boiling in no time. While we're waiting for that water to boil, I'm going to slice up my bok choy. And that'll give me some nice leafy greens. That water's starting to steam a little bit, so I'm going to add my seasoning packet. And the nice thing about making gourmet ramen is you can really do it however you like. Like another thing sometimes, and I didn't bring it on this trip, but another thing I like to do sometimes is add an egg to it. That's pretty good. The water's boiling, so we're going to go in with, you don't want too much of this. You can really quickly overpower it, so I just did about a teaspoonful on my knife blade, and that is going to be plenty. This is good stuff, nice and spicy. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to throw in is the bok choy and the onions, because those will take the longest to cook. All right, we're gonna add the chicken now. Let that cook a little bit. Oh man, I cannot even tell you guys how amazing that smells. Okay, so now I'm gonna toss the mushrooms in, and I'll just give these mushrooms just a couple of minutes. They don't need a long time, and I don't want them to get too overdone. So I'm going to give the mushrooms just a couple of minutes, and then we'll go in with the ramen noodles, and the last thing we'll toss on top is, you know, the Coyote Works special is the cilantro, the fresh chopped cilantro. So one thing that I like to do is I don't like to break them up too much, but I like to break them like in half and then in half again. So now I've basically broken the noodles into 4 quarters. All right, now we're going to go in with some cilantro too at the same time as the noodles, so it can just kind of cook in very nicely. Ah, that cilantro is the spice of life. That smells so good. Oh, you guys got to see this. Alright guys, this is done, and it smells and looks amazing. There's a gourmet ramen for you. Really easy to make. It takes about 20 minutes or so cook time. 20 to 30 minutes. It depends on how tender you want, like what vegetables you put in there and how tender you want them. But this is just perfect. A little bit garlicky, a little bit spicy, nice and hot. Lots of carbs, good protein from the chicken. Boy, it is cooling off out here, so that heat from the fire I can feel on my shoulder and my back is actually really nice. All right, guys, cheers. I'm gonna have to put you away and sit here and enjoy my dinner. All right, I went back for helping number 2, and it's starting to cool off quick, so man, I might actually end up using that buddy heater inside my canopy tonight, but I decided to scoot over here next to the fire to finish my dinner. Well, guys, my belly's full, and I'm just enjoying the last little bit of the campfire. I'm basically just going to wait until this little pile of wood that I put on it burns down, and then I'll probably crawl up into the canopy and read a little bit until I fall asleep. But I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and thank all of you that kick into the Gas and Tires Fund by clicking on the PayPal donate link in the description of the videos down below there. I really appreciate those contributions. I hope you guys know how much they help cover everything that goes into making this content. The cameras, the batteries, the video editing equipment, all of that stuff it's a huge help covering all that. Anybody that's new to my channel, if you'd like to make a monetary contribution, there is always a PayPal donate link in the description of my videos down below. And everything you guys kick in is much appreciated, man. It goes a long ways, and I can't tell you how much I enjoy having y'all along with me on these trips out here. And hopefully we'll have some fun adventures tomorrow, man. I'm really looking forward to exploring this area a little bit more. Like, I think tomorrow we're going to try to hike up over that ridge and drop down into those formations that I'm thinking might be some fossil-bearing formations. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, remember how I told you guys earlier I didn't think there was a snowball's chance in heck I would need the buddy heater? Well, I just turned it on. It's actually getting chilly tonight, which is not surprising considering that it's only April. So it's actually pretty comfortable in here. I've got a nice and toasty, plenty of room to run the heater in here. I've just got the pilot light on right now. But I've got my usual little gear beside me for the evening, and you guys can kind of see it's actually very, very comfortable in here. It's not perfect, but it blocks the wind, retains the heat, and actually sleeping back in this soft topper is a pretty easy setup. All right, guys, well, I've just been laying here reading, and I'm getting kind of drowsy, so I think I'm going to have a little nap, and I'll be dreaming about the day we're going to have tomorrow. So that's all for this day, guys. Coyote Works out. I'll see you in the morning for coffee. Oh, good morning, guys. How's my hair? Well, I slept pretty good. It did get quite a bit colder last night than I was anticipating, but oh yeah, I just opened up the back and I'm looking out there at the view, and I've got the heater on beside me, so it has just enough heat to keep it nice and comfortable in here. Just gorgeous out there. The sun's just coming up. Probably within about the next 2 minutes, it's going to hit my canopy and warm things up really nice in here. Then we'll crawl out there, get us some hot coffee going, maybe go off on our morning walk. Oh wow, it is just an absolutely gorgeous morning here. Man, this is just one of the most amazing things in the world, and no matter how many times I have this experience of waking up out in the middle of the high desert or up in the forest, like there's just something about watching the sun come up in the morning way out in some remote place that just never gets old. Every single place I camp is a little bit different, has a little bit different feel to it. A lot of country out here to explore. Wow, setting up my hand washing station this morning, and there's ice inside that, and this wet towel towel right here, frozen solid. So yeah, it did get pretty cold last night. Yeah, it's amazing how nice it can be in the day out here in this high desert country and how cold it can cool down at night. There can be just a huge differential between the daytime and nighttime temperatures. So I think the first thing we're going to do this morning is go on a little walk. I'm going to bring a water bottle along with me, and of course I've got some basic first line gear on me. In my pocket I've got my flashlight, my Bic lighter, my knife, of course I got my handgun. I at least want enough basic survival items that if I fell down a little cliff and broke my ankle or something like that and couldn't motivate very well, at least I've got enough basic stuff to hydrate, build a fire, etc. Yeah, these little washes and these washed off banks like this are good places to see a nice cross section of what kind of rock's in here. Here's a little piece of jasper right here. Oh yeah, I see some stuff glinting right up there. Well, I'm just about back to the truck after my little morning walk, but I wanted to show you guys what I was talking about all of the different kinds of material out here. So I've been walking around here, and obviously there was a lot of Native American presence in here and a lot of worked pieces and all different kind of materials. Like here's a nice chunk of limb cast that's been flaked off by hand. A piece of dark like jasper or petrified wood here, jet black piece of obsidian, a lot of different hues of agate. Yeah, just very interesting, all the different materials that this stuff is made out of out here. All right, that was a nice little walk. I'm gonna get that second cup of coffee in me. Maybe I'll have a little bit of a snack. And then I think we're gonna throw camp in the truck and run up, follow this little trail up and get into those fossil bearing formations and have a little walk in there. All right, for my second cup of coffee, I've got these little cans of Illy Bold and Intense cold brew. So I'll just dump one of these inside my coffee cup. And this is a nice, strong, iced coffee. And then I add a little bit of, I like the 30% whipping cream. Oh, that's wonderful. Perfect. Well, I think I've done about all I'm going to do around camp, so my next step is I'm going to pack everything up. And the nice thing about this is a pretty simple setup, so it only takes me about 15 minutes or so. Well, maybe add a little bit if I'm filming, but if I wasn't filming, I can literally have my camp all buttoned up in about 15 minutes. I love this stove. It's the Covea that I got from Lowell Overland. It's nice because it takes any kind of fuel that I have. It takes these 1 pound propane cans. It takes the spray paint can, butane canisters, or it can run off of these guys right here, the same ones that a lot of the little rocket stoves and stuff run off of. Alright, so the Ready Light is fully charged. So whatever amount of it that I used last night, it was able to fully charge up with the amount of time that I left it in the sun this morning. I get a lot of questions about this box. This box is manufactured by a company called Swiss Link, and I really like it. It's metal, aluminum, so I can set, you know, hot cast iron pans on it, etc. Seems to be really durable, and it's fairly lightweight. So really like this box, nice and rigid. Latches are nice and solid on it. They're also lockable, so you can lock it up if you need to. I absolutely love these Rotopax water cans. They're one of the few water cans that I have yet to have one leak on me. They're 2 gallons each, which is a really nice size. That allows me to scale my water supply. So technically, if this was all the water I was using, 2 gallons a day is kind of a good rule of thumb for a minimum amount of water supply out in the desert. So nice and durable, and then I love it that I can lay them down and set that spout up like I showed you guys and basically have a water dispenser. Alright, that's that. Camp is pretty much buttoned up. Just got to grab my shovel. I don't want to forget that. Alright, we are on the trail. Well, that was a cinch, buttoning up camp, and now we just have a short little ways to go. I want to get us out to the edge of the place where those fossil formations are. Alright, let's go see if we can get into some of these fossil bearing formations up here. Wow, breathtaking in here. These are pretty typical fossil bearing formations, but I've been hiking through here. Actually, I came from all the way back over there on the other side, and I haven't seen anything major yet. A couple of small petrified bone fragments down in the bottom of the draw, but man, it's getting warm, and this is a lot of work hiking around these steep hills. We're going to try to get up there to where those white layers are. We're going to see if maybe that's got some fossils in it. Check this out. Modern bone. Right back over there, there's some fossil beds that have fossils in them, and then back over this way there's some other fossil beds. So I'm pretty sure there was going to be some in these formations, but man, just not seeing anything yet. All right, so I'm now up above. I don't know if you guys can see back there behind me that layer. I had to basically contour around the side of this bowl, so I ended up being just a little bit higher than that formation, but we're almost there. Let's go check it out. Oh man, check this out. There's a spring here coming right out of the side of the mountain. Look at that. Let's go up and see if we can find the source of it. That's crazy. Yeah, water. It's so dry out here that the water from this spring doesn't even make it more than a couple of 100 yards. Oh guys, check this out. Frog. Yeah, this is good to know, man. Little desert water source right here. All right, check this out. Here's the first piece of fossilized bone. Looks like leg bone, and it's interesting that this is up by the spring. So we're going to look around some more and see if we can find anything else in here, but that's pretty cool. There's a climb up here. A pretty high elevation too. Well, I found a couple other really small bone fragments, but that was about it. So I'm working my way back to the truck, and oh, it looks like I miscalculated. I thought this was the ridge the truck was going to be on, but looks like it's over the next one. All right, let's roll onward and upward. And pick our way back out of here. There's a turning point in every trip, and one that always brings to me a little bit of sadness with it. And that's the point in the trip when I stop working my way farther away from civilization and start working my way back towards civilization. But that little twinge of sadness is always offset by the knowledge that soon I will be going through the video clips, reliving the adventure as I put together the final video that I'll get to share with all of you. With everything that I experienced on this trip, from the Gourmet Ramen camp meal, to the fossil beds, to the Civilian Conservation Corps camp, to the Native American artifacts, and the mystery of that waterhole, it really was a phenomenal trip. I hope you all enjoyed joining me for the adventure. I know I sure enjoyed having you along. I look forward to your questions, your comments, and I always appreciate your support. And above all, I look forward to seeing you on the next adventure. Until then, Coyote Works, out.